to the service. It's very confusing. Anyway, okay, ladies and gents, we're going to do shout-outs in a bit, but before we get to shout-outs, I think we should do some suggestion box because we actually have ample time to do it today. All right? Sound good? So let's do it. Let's jump in. The suggestion box. For those who don't know, you can add a suggestion to the suggestion box right now by typing !suggestion into the stream chat. It's also just a community post that was from like a month ago on the channel, and you could find it. But if you use the link in the stream chat, that's how you'll get to it. So we're going to pick up where we left off last time we did a suggestion box. This one's actually from someone who I guess I accidentally banned them last night on the Like a Dragon stream, Tubs. And I unbanned them now. Just so you know, Tubs. I don't know if you're around today or not, because they were here last night, and they said something that they definitely shouldn't have said. All right? It wasn't offensive, but it was referencing to, you know, a detractor thing. And I was like, dude, if you say that, you're going to bring attention to it. So, you know, I basically timed him out and banned him. And then he emailed me. He's like, no, that was the real me. Sorry I did that. So I unbanned him. Anyway, here's it. Oh, all right. Landscapers are outside. I actually have to close the window now, guys, because they're getting really loud for me. Yeah, they're literally right outside the window now. So like, I gotta close it now so I can pay attention here, so I can focus on what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we go. Ready? Okay, so Tub says the following. Now, keep in mind, this was about, I want to say this was about a month ago when we opened the suggestion box again. So some of this might be a little outdated, some might not. We'll have to see. He says, please lower the amount of ads. I definitely think you should be running ads, but I'll listen to the podcast for an hour and I get 6 ads in that period of time. I'm getting to a point where I just watch on demand because of excessive ads and certain chatters trying to get your attention. Now, to address this, first of all, I can't actually see the frequency of ads, and that's a problem. I wish I could. YouTube keeps changing the process, and this is YouTube's fault, and I apologize for it, because I want to be in control of my streams, and I can't be. So, for example, what used to happen is every time YouTube would run an ad, there would actually be a pop-up in the bottom left-hand corner of my stream dashboard, and it would say, an ad is about to run, click here to skip. And there used to be significant amounts of times I would see that, and I would say, oh, I'm going to skip that ad because I'm in the middle of something important on my podcast, or there's a cutscene, an important one going on in the game. And it only happens like half the time now. And I don't understand if that's a change that was intended or not, if they screwed it up, because it was gone for like a month. Then it came back. Now I'm seeing it sporadically. Like literally this entire morning on the podcast, I haven't seen a single thing that said stop an ad from playing. Yeah, I know you guys probably have seen ads, right? Can you guys confirm? Hold on, let's confirm. Have you guys seen ads on the stream today at all? Or have you not seen any ads? Maybe that's what it is. No ads, and then I don't see the pop-up. Have you guys seen any ads running on the stream? I gotta wait for an answer. Hold on. Yes. Okay, people are saying, yes, we've seen ads. Okay. So, from my understanding, all right, how it's supposed to work, okay, is that at most, you're only supposed to get an ad every 15 minutes. At most. YouTube is not supposed to hit you with more than one ad per 15 minutes. Okay? So if you're actually seeing more than that, YouTube, I think, is screwing up. And I have had a few people in the last month noticing this. So I don't really know what's going on with it. Now, what people are actually saying to me is it seems to differ depending on where you are in the world, because remember, different regions get different ads, but also what version of YouTube you're using. Because some people are saying it's a different experience if you're watching on your desktop or PC versus if you're watching on an app, like on a TV, versus if you're using your phone. That all three are delivering different experiences. And some people, I guess someone just said it in the chat earlier, it seems like the mobile version for your phone is the worst, where for some reason you guys are getting way more ads, but then like on desktop, it's totally fine. Like Nico just said, it's fine for me. I've gotten like one ad so far the whole stream. And you know, the stream's been going now for what, 20 minutes? 25 minutes or so, that would make sense. Probably there's another ad coming up for you then. If it's every 15 minutes, right? Then you should be getting another ad in about 10 minutes, right? So I guess the question is, what is really going on with YouTube? Okay, because I really don't know. I wish I could control it. Like I said, if I saw excessive ads popping up, I would literally click and cancel them. And now that feature is removed. So I don't know. I can't even tell when you guys are seeing an ad at this point. It just seems to be like a necessary evil now that YouTube is screwing this stuff up and I have to deal with it and you have to watch them. Here's the thing. Number one, I never ran those ads ever for years, correct? And then you guys said, no, we want to help support you, especially with these issues going on. Please run ads. So I started running them. You know what I'm saying? And now you guys are saying, well, there's too many ads. Well, it's like, well, I could turn it off, but then it's going to hurt the channel. Already I'm hurting. You have to understand something. I'm hurting bad right now. I don't talk about it that often, but because those gifted memberships screwed the whole channel up, I haven't gotten them back. So we're talking, I lost a ton of revenue that I'm not regaining. And the fact that right now we're in RPG stagnation mode is just making things worse. You know, it would be great if I could see a resurgence with Battlefront, with Rise of the Ronin, and maybe with another game by the end of the month. But there's no guarantees that's going to happen. If I stay at the level I'm at right now, I'm already bleeding and in pain. And it's like, well, now you guys are annoyed by ads. So now just punch the wound some more. It ain't going to make things better. You know what I'm saying? It's just going to make things even worse. So I understand what you're saying, Tubs. I wish I could control it. Trust me, if I could manually stop certain ads, I would. But it seems like that doesn't even work properly anymore. How is it that today I don't see the pop up at all, and yesterday I was seeing it? I don't get it. YouTube is all screwed up. All right. So it is what it is. Now, I could turn ads like way lower, but what I saw, if you go to the low, because there's 3 versions, if you go to the low ads, it only plays an ad at most like once every half an hour. But when I was doing that, I literally saw nothing. Nothing. Seriously. So I don't even, you know, I don't even know if that's worth it. If it, you know, if there's 0 ads, it's going to hurt the channel. You know what I mean? What I would recommend, again, I got to recommend this. Consider getting YouTube Premium. It is a great service. You don't ever see an ad on YouTube. Everyone who runs ads gets the credit as if you watch the ad. There's tons of benefits to it. All right? We were just talking about it yesterday. YouTube Music is an app. You get all this music if you're a YouTube Premium subscriber. It's part of the package. You know? I would definitely recommend that. Okay, so here's the thing. Tubs, thank you for the feedback. I don't want my user experience being hindered by tons of ads. At this point, I don't really know how to fix it besides just turning off the ads. But if I did that, I'm going to need more support. And as you know, I already asked for it. I don't think that sitting here asking for more support all day because I turned off the ads is really going to be a beneficial thing. So it's kind of a necessary evil right now. If YouTube fixes the problem so I can disable certain ads when they happen, when they're badly timed, I will do that. But they've disabled that, and I don't know why. Okay? Okay. Continuing on, he says, you should start trying to take an extra stream off a week for your own well-being, even if it's just twice a month during a slow period. I really think you should use extra free time. But number one, I am doing that this month, but I'm not doing it for a good reason. I'm doing it because I have to do private patron videos and work on taxes and other business stuff. I wish I could take off an extra day. Don't you think I would like to do that? You know, I don't like being here 6 days a week full time and not spending time with my family. I have to be here to pay my bills. You know, again, it's wishful thinking. Turn off ads and take more time off. Okay, Tubs, but where does the money come from then? Right? And you have to understand, I don't work a salary job. A day that I don't work is a day that I don't make money to pay the bills. So that's why I have to be here as much as I am. Maybe that'll change in the future, but it's not changing anytime soon. Things are sadly going this way now this year. I was doing good by the end of last year. Things were actually going well. You know, I was doing good on YouTube, great member support and everything. And then, number one, the fake memberships completely screwed the channel over. I went from having 500 to 800 legit members. Now we're down to like 200-300 a month. And all that revenue is lost. And there's nothing I can do about it. Okay? And then in addition to that, now RPG stagnation. So it's a thing on top of a thing, and it's really hurting me bad, and I'm bleeding. And I need to get through this time before we can consider scaling back on things that are helping the channel to make money. Okay. Okay. Okay, our next post here is actually from OP Boone, and OP Boone, as you know, usually has some really good suggestions, many of which I've already implemented. Okay. So here we go. Ready? So he says, the idea of a podcast cold open intro is good, but I feel a 30-second you're ready for the stream intro lowers the effectiveness when you do it. It'd be better to cut that intro from the recorded YouTube videos that you can still use it for the stream audience. Just start the recording after the guitar riff intro is done and the video opens with your cold open, immediately introducing the viewer to the topics coming up on the show. So, for clarification purposes, what OP Boone is referencing is the beginning of this show, where the first thing I do is I play that clip that says, "Are you ready for the stream?" and it plays a guitar riff, right? Then that fades out, and then a version of my intro usually plays, but it depends on the day. For example, if it's a day where I have a lot of topics to talk about, I'll appear on camera first and say, "Hey everyone, it's the Level 1 Podcast, and here's what we're talking about today. I'll be right back." And then we do a shorter version of the intro. That lasts way shorter. It's abridged. And then we get right to the show. That's the cold open version of the show. Now, if I have a day when I don't have a lot to talk about, I don't have like a real good cold open to do, I'll go straight from that guitar riff. It fades out, and then I go to a longer version of the intro. Okay, and that version basically is me dancing around with my old green screen footage and stuff like that. And so I alternate those depending on the day and depending on the subject matter that I have to talk about. All right. Now, to start, he says the you ready for the stream segment should be cut from the on-demand videos. Now, first of all, why do I even use that clip? It's very simple, because I have a stream running, and when that stream is about to start the podcast, I want people to know that guitar riff is the synonymous noise you guys all know. Oh, the show's starting. Let me get ready, right? Because remember, before then, there's just music running. So you're getting ready for the show to start. If you want to know exactly when it's starting, listen for that guitar riff. It's notable now. Everyone remembers it. Everyone recognizes it. They even put guitar emotes in the chat when it's going. So you know, oh, the show's starting. So let's say you're in another room, right? Or you're not paying attention. You just got it running in the background, and you're wondering when the show's going to start. You'll know when you hear the guitar riff. That's why I have that. It's mostly for the stream viewers. Admittedly, it doesn't really do anything for the on-demand video viewers. So if you guys think that would be beneficial to not have that in the on-demand video, I could cut it out. In fact, guess what I did this morning? I cut it out because I actually scanned these suggestions early, and I said, oh, that's one I could try implementing today. So for those of you watching this podcast on demand, please let me know. Leave a comment. Give me feedback. Do you like the guitar riff at the beginning of the show? Does it help at all, or is it just worthless to you? I'm going to keep playing it on the stream, but I don't have to record it in the video. I could just record right with either the cold open or the intro. Okay? So there you go. Now, the second half that OP Boone says, he says, I'd also look into only using the shorter Level 1 Podcast intro instead of the full minute-long one. The intro isn't much more than some text with various effects playing for an entire minute. It's more interesting if the intro is a minute of fun highlights from previous shows or something. You should consider the perspective of a viewer when looking for improvement. I started doing these timestamps for myself to see where interesting topics are on your podcast. Others seem to appreciate them. I admit I fully skip the intro and recap segments, but I'll tune into schedule segments for games and streams that I'm interested in. Then I'll see what else is going on with the timestamps and click to those for the day. So that was a lot of information to absorb. All right. The first thing he's basically saying is always use the shorter Level 1 Podcast intro. Fair enough, but as I just stated, I don't have a cold open every day. Today, I literally didn't have a cold open. Why? What are we doing today? What am I supposed to do? Come on camera and say, oh, it's a slow day, not much going on. We'll do suggestion box. See you in a sec. That's a crappy cold open, right? It's not like, oh, today we got tons of game news, big game updates, new releases to talk about. You know, when there's an exciting day and you do an exciting cold open, it starts the podcast with a good, vibrant feeling. But you can't really do that every day, right? So I don't think that that makes sense in that regard. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying, okay, don't ever use the longer intro. Well, I feel like if I'm not going to do a cold open, right, I think the longer intro is actually appropriate. And I do enjoy having the variety of intros. So that's not exactly the same every day. Because honestly, when something is exactly the same every day, it feels too samey, too uniform, and kind of gets boring, right? I like the fact that every morning you don't know if you're going to get a cold open with a bunch of stuff and a shorter intro, or you're just going to get the longer intro with me dancing around. I think it's nice. Now, if people disagree, let me know, but that's why I do it that way, okay? So I think the feedback to remove the guitar riff from the on-demand video makes sense. The feedback to say just use the shorter intro and always do a cold open, I don't think that works because I don't always have a cold open. If I did, then it would make sense, but I don't think that really works because, sadly, I don't always have a good cold open for the show. Now, your suggestion, it would be more interesting if your intro is a minute of fun highlights from previous shows. Sure. Sure, it would be. I agree with you. It would be great. But I can't do that because I don't have any video editing. I don't have time to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here all day doing the work, as you know. If anyone wanted to put together a montage of clips from this show or stuff like that as an intro, like a better intro, I'm down for using that. But again, you have to understand it's a kind of a community effort. You know, I would love to use a better intro. I don't have one. I use what I have. Right? So if anyone ever likes the show and wants, hey, I'll do a quick montage of stuff for an intro for Phil's show or whatever, yeah, I'd be willing to use that, but I can't make it myself. So if anyone's interested, let me know. We'll talk about it. You can submit it. We'll test it out and stuff like that. Okay? Excuse me. So another suggestion from OP Boone here. We'll just go right to the next one. Actually, wait a minute. Let me check because I'm not checking on anything. I just want to be sure that I'm not missing out. Okay, we have a couple shout outs to do. So I'll keep time for that. We'll do like maybe 10, 15 more minutes of suggestion box, and then we'll go over to shout outs so that way I don't run out of time. Okay. Cool. Consider using OBS's built-in pause recording feature to give yourself or cat a break whenever needed without having to fully stop a recording. This can be found next to the stop recording button. Okay, I'm looking at it right now. Is that it? That must be it. Pause recording. Okay, this is something new. Once paused, the pause button turns blue, and the bottom of your OBS window will indicate that the recording has been paused. Once you come back from a quick break, you can press it again and resume as normal. On the recorded video, it will seem like a normal video cut. Jumping from when you pause to unpause? Really? No shit. So, for example, if I'm in the middle of a video, and I was like, I gotta get Jasper Kitty out of here. I'll be right back. I can click that and come back and unclick it, and it just skips the dead air. I didn't know that at all. Okay, I'm gonna use that. I mean, let me think. I guess I could use it if I have to use the bathroom or something, and I'm not splitting the part. I could use it. And I guess, yeah, there's a few instances I feel like I could use it. All right, I'm gonna try to use this. I had no clue that's what that was. There it is. It's right there. It's a little pause button thing. And that's cool that it just jump cuts basically in the recording. Then again, I've never tried it. Would you like to try it right now? I'm going to try it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Everyone watching on demand, you're the ones who are the test case for this. Everyone here live on the stream won't see it. But we're going to try this right now. Okay, ready? Watch this. You ready? This is going to be funny. All right. I'm going to test it right now. We're going to click this pause recording button. And when I come back, we'll see if it worked. Ready? And... okay, so I clicked it. And it says, recording is paused. I've never tried this before. Are you ready? I'm going to scare the shit out of the people on demand. You ready for this? This is going to be funny as hell. Ready? Watch this. Okay. Ready? Okay, did it work? Did it work? Is it working? Did it work? So hopefully I didn't scare the crap out of those on demand. But I wanted to test it. So let's see, because now it's recording again, supposedly. So I cut out a few seconds there. If you're watching on demand, let me know how it worked. I'm curious. Hopefully it doesn't, like, fuck up and corrupt the video. Oh, God, that would really suck. So let's see what happens. And go from there. But if that works, that's cool. And I could use that for sure during streams and stuff. So let's see what happens. All right. All right. Well, thank you very much. That is awesome. Thank you, OP Boone. That's an amazing suggestion that I can implement right away. And so just from those suggestions from Boone, the first suggestion, where can I cut out the guitar riff from the intro of the on-demand video? Yes, and I will try to remember to do that from now on. And can I use the different intros? Well, the reason I do the different intros is because I don't always have a cold open, and I feel like the show would be not as good if it just has the same intro every day. So therefore, that's why I use the 2, and I think I'll continue to use the 2. But that recording pause button is a great suggestion, and I'm going to start using that for sure. So thank you for that. Okay. So let's go ahead. I got to find it now. There it is. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so let's read this next suggestion. And we can't do too many more, but let's do a few more here. So here we go. Here's my idea. Instead of having a 10 to 15 minute Q&A segment that extends the podcast. Now, for clarification purposes, I don't do that every day, right? I only do that on days when we have extra time at the end of the show, and I want to see if anyone has things on their mind to talk about before we go to the game, because that way we don't have those questions during the game, right? It gives you an opportunity to ask me stuff before we get to the game, so we don't have burning questions that I go, oh, let's start playing the game. Oh, wait, here comes a ton of questions from the audience now because I'm interacting, right? But anyway, he says, try taking a 10-minute break after splitting the second gameplay part and talk with the viewers about what they're thinking of the game or stream. Okay? Now, OP Boone responded to this suggestion, and he said the following. I think this is an interesting idea. He did something similar when he was on Twitch. He would have only an hour or so pre-stream, because this is before it was a podcast. It was just me talking over slideshow. Then he would do a gameplay stream for about 2 hours, but then he would take a long break. Right, my breaks back then were like 30 plus minutes, remember? I would actually stream for like 2 hours, then leave for a half an hour, and then come back. And the consensus I got then was you killed your audience. You lost your audience in the 30 minutes. It was too much of a break. He's since cut back on gameplay for the day stream. He does 3 hours, but he can still squeeze in a short intermission. Right, now what I do is I do an actual podcast, not just me talking over slides, but the podcast has segments. We cover game news, things I never used to do. So the podcast is longer. But since I've made the podcast a more dedicated part of my work with better visuals, better audio segments, I feel like I got a hair in my mouth. Ugh. Since I did that, the podcast is more popular. The podcast now gets more views and support. Those pre-streams used to be dead. It was just me talking, and then when I finally got to the game, people were like, hallelujah. Now, this podcast actually has a following, right? There's people who just listen to the podcast, and they don't stick around for the game. It's kind of flipping on its head. So before, I usually did around 4 hours of gameplay per stream, but I also had a very lengthy break in between to break it up, so that way I wasn't sitting here for 5-6 hours straight. Now I don't do that anymore. Now I do this podcast. I usually take a 5 to 10 minute break if I have to use the bathroom, and then I jump into gameplay, and that's it. The gameplay is consistent. It's just all a nonstop, no big breaks. So I phased out the idea of a big break because of your feedback. You guys were telling me that when I was doing those big breaks, it was killing the engagement and the attendance of the stream. People would just leave during the break and never come back. So the feedback was, don't do that. Do it more streamlined. So that's how I do it now. Okay? So what this person is suggesting is bring back the big break, and during that big break, talk about the game. Okay? I don't know how much that would work. I mean, it's interesting to maybe say that, but don't we talk about the game when I'm playing it? Like, it's not like when I'm playing the game, I'm just sitting here playing it, ignoring you guys, right? I'm talking with you guys the entire time that I'm playing the game, and we're having that conversation and interaction. Why do I need to have a formal break to talk about the game? That's a little confusing to me. Because, again, you have to understand my methodology of why I do the things the way I do. Okay, we have a podcast, and that podcast will cover certain topics, okay, including news, the schedule, things going on in my life, right? Phil's day off, stuff like that. It's all segments that are interesting to you guys. You like those segments, right? So after that's all done, at the end of the show, if we have time for Q&A, I purposefully open up the show Why? So that you guys can talk with me about whatever topics you want before we start with the game. Because let me give you an example. Today we're playing Baldur's Gate 3. And as soon as we start, we're going to be going with the Hag quest line. We're going to track her down, fight her, and finish it up. Imagine if I didn't do any Q&A. So I do a podcast, and then immediately we start Baldur's Gate 3. You want to know what would happen in the first half an hour of Baldur's Gate 3? Everyone would bombard me with questions. Hey, Phil, what's going on with this? Hey, Phil, what do you think about this? Hey, Phil, wait, I'm trying to play the game. Why are we doing Q&A? I'm trying to play the game, right? That's what happens if you don't have opportunity to have interaction with the streamer first. I've seen many streamers, this happens. They turn on their stream, and immediately they can't play the game. They've got to talk with their audience for 30 minutes before they can get to the game because everyone has topics on their mind. That's why I try to get that Q&A in at the end of the show, okay? Now, if I didn't do that Q&A segment and we did it later, what's happening is, sadly, we're creating that break again in the middle of the gameplay that people told me directly they don't want. People outright said during the Twitch days, we don't want big breaks. Your breaks in between gameplay break it up to the point where people leave and don't come back. So stop doing breaks in the middle. And that's why I said, okay, we'll do the podcast. I'll take a short break, sometimes use the bathroom or whatever. That's my break. It makes sense to do it then because it's the break between the podcast and the gameplay. And then once I start with gameplay, I just do the constant gameplay, right? That's definitely the formula that works, okay? So that's why I do it that way. So what this person is basically saying is go back to the old way. And I'm like, I don't think that would work. You know, and what it is a lot of people who make these suggestions too don't realize that I've been there, done that, right? I think that's what it is people that haven't been around long enough to say, oh, Phil used to take a big break like that and whatever. Yeah, I did. And it didn't work. People hated it. People wanted me to have everything segmented properly. Once I start with the game, I'm just going to be here playing the game for many hours. It's not, oh, Phil's here. He's going to take several breaks during the gameplay. It's going to be all broken up, right? That's literally what used to happen. It used to be, I stream 2 hours, I would take a break, and I would go from like 500-600 viewers down to like 200, and people wouldn't come back. And then people would be like, man, those breaks are killing your streams, okay? So anyway, unless someone has a counter to that, I definitely feel like, essentially, the way we're doing it now is the best way because it allows me to basically get the most out of the time I'm playing the game. I'm not massively distracted by side conversation because we didn't have it during the show. We're not breaking up the gameplay with a break or unrelated stuff. It's just once I'm in the game, we're in the game to make progress for the day, right? That's the feedback I've gotten, especially when I'm playing hot new releases and people want to see more. That's what works. And it took us a while to get there. You know, I used to have more breaks and interruptions and things, and people just kept giving me feedback. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. Improve. So I've improved over the years. I hear ya. Maybe some people just feel it's too samey, but it's working, right? So I think we should stick with that unless, again, someone has a counter to it and say, no, I don't think this is working. You know. Okay. Let's do one more suggestion, and then we'll get to shout-outs, okay? So let's see here. Okay, ginormous thing, and this is in regards to when Kat and I did our co-op gameplay like a month ago, right, in Like a Dragon. So keep in mind, if you didn't see that gameplay, you might not even understand where this person's coming from, but let's read what they have to say, and then I'll see, you know, what I want to say in response. Okay, my suggestion is in regards to co-op gameplay with Kat recently. I want you to be open to change rather than rejecting this outright. I don't just reject things outright, I listen. And if it's something that's ridiculous or over-the-top demanding, then I'll reject it. But some of these suggestions have been quite good. So I don't want you to feel like I'm just going to reject it just because, you know, it's not something that I'm doing. By the way, I'm going to open the window again because now the landscapers are gone.